All right, everyone, we are back. This is SANDCAST Beach Volleyball with Bourne and Travis Mewhirter. We're not just 6 feet apart. We're about 6 minutes apart down the road. I'm here in Hermosa on Pacific Coast Highway. Bourne hanging out in the studio. You think it might be Manhattan Beach judging by those windows, but it's Redondo.
I like to throw everyone off a little bit.
What's happening, brother?
Nada. Just cruising, doing the queue best I can.
I see you've got our sponsor shout outs. Just while we're at it, Tri has, let's see, 1, 2, 3 pieces of Wilson apparel in the show. We got a Kona in the back, putting on the Mauis. We got a Monster Hydro on the hat and a Monster Hydro water bottle back there.
Also.
And his own logo.
Tri logo.
Bourne, aka
in the studio where, we got to rep our sponsors. So.
You're making
Wilson.
You're making a push for the Ricky Bobby Award.
Hey, I got to give our sponsors some love right now. They're sticking with us, and they're probably losing a lot of money right now.
Yeah, so Wilson, we love you. Although you can also support Wilson by buying some products using our discount code SANDCAST-20. So that gets you 20% off. So you can support your favorite podcast and your favorite volleyball by going to Wilson and using that discount code. So we got that going for us.
Any volleyball gear, people. Get her done.
How's the volleyball list life going though?
It's okay. I mean, I've actually been studying up. I'm following through with what I say on the show all the time, and I'm watching a lot of film. The way that I've been doing that is I've been scheduling it. So I have team film with my coach and Hildebrand, and then I have another film session where I just watch on my own. I've been watching some old school matches. I actually hit up a veteran lately, Mike Dodd, and he's been walking me through a few matches. So I'm trying to put my money where my mouth is and just absorb as much information as possible without going out to the sand and just being a crazy person, trying to apply everything I've learned. Yeah. I need to just take it in and let it go. And then I'm just going to try to see what applies itself when I get out there. But I mean, this is the right time to start studying, and I want my brain to be able to process stuff a little quicker when I get out there. So yeah.
What's the biggest thing you've learned so far or kind of picked up in this pseudo quarantine off season?
I think I just have kind of noticed and been told that there are different philosophies, and this is an obvious thing, but I didn't really think about it. That there's the John Hyden way to play, there's the Mike Dodd way to play, there's the Jose Loyola way to play, Travis Mewhirter way to play. We all have built our games to our strengths over the years. So for me to come in and be like, oh, I'm going to do exactly what Tyler Hildebrand says, what he thinks I should do, isn't necessarily right. It's about taking in all the information, then figuring out and creating your own style of play out of it. If I was to take I want to be Katie Spieler type of game, that would probably be dumb because I'm tall, right? And I can use angles, whereas she figures out ways to be successful at her height, and she has different strengths and whatnot. Obviously, I've studied a little bit of the girls' game too. I watched Misty and Carrie a little bit. I'm just what was Misty doing to walk into so many digs?
Yeah, no kidding.
She's not even diving. They're just shooting it to her. But I think just repetition is what I'm trying to get right now.
Yeah, repetition in a very body-friendly kind of way.
Yeah, what I was saying is that I want to figure out what my defensive strategy is. I kind of know myself as a blocker, right? But I'm still working out on how to apply that to having Trevor behind me and not a John Hyden, not a true defender, because that's really different. My blocking, if I block the way I would block with a Hyden, let's say, it doesn't work. They're not hitting it at me anymore. They're not shooting it where I want them to. I have to play knowing how my guy behind me is moving and reacting and whatnot. So we're still trying to figure that out, but also more importantly, neither of us are true defenders. So we're trying to figure out our own personal identity there. And that's been kind of the funnest part for me, is I think I'm kind of I'm hearing it from different people, and I'm like, I think that I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that. That sounds like my style. I'm probably not a strategist, I'm not a thinker. I know that. So I'm not going to try to be one. I'm going to learn as much as I can, but I'm not going to try to be out there doing the Todd Rogers, John Hyden. I don't know who else is thinkers, but even Misty probably. I'm going to kind of be more of a instinctual, put myself in a good position to make moves and use my athleticism and length on defense and my touch and whatnot.
Is there a player out there that you look at as kind of a good comparison or equivalent? Because like I look at maybe a Smedens or Krasilnikov. I think you and Krasilnikov are kind of similar in that you're both like 6'5", you're both really physical, good offensively, and that because he digs hard drivens really well, but he doesn't dig like a crazy amount of shots considering he's playing behind Oleg Stoyanovsky, 7'1".
Yeah, honestly, I've never thought about Krasilnikov in that way. I feel like he's shorter than me. He's a bit shorter.
Okay, well, BVB's got him at 6'5", so take it for what you will.
I would have said 6'4". 6'3", and maybe I'll give you 6'4". But he's pretty explosive and quick. I do like his style of play though, and I don't feel like he's one of those players that's really strategic, like setting you up all the time. He's just putting himself in a good position to go make plays. I'm definitely not like a Christian Sorum where he loves to just be moving all around. Smedens, I don't know. I haven't really thought of that in terms of him relating to me. Plus, he's a lefty with just a cannon. I don't know. I don't know who that player would be, but I guess I could see Krasilnikov for the time being. I'm going to think about that though.
That'll be something to think about during quarantine time.
Right.
What's crazy is that if nothing strange had been going on, today would have been the eve, or not today, but when this podcast comes out would be the eve of the Huntington qualifier.
Whoa.
Oh yeah. So I would be freaking out right about now. And now I'm just like, well, I can take my 15th nap of the day. So.
I keep thinking about like when May 15th or June 15th comes around. I'm like, wow, this was the day that I was thinking about for 4 years. And it's not the day.
Yeah.
It's a whole year from the day, which is really far from the day.
Yeah, it's so weird because, like, this is like traditionally the biggest weekend in United States volleyball because we have the first AVP of the season, we have the College Beach National Championships, and the men's indoor Final Four going on in the same weekend. So now it's just like, what do we do?
Exactly. I know, that's why I keep saying, like, everyone's got their own thing that's going on. It's like from within the volleyball community at every level, it's hitting people differently. But then you look outside and it's like the same thing through every business and everyone's in it together. It's insane how big of an impact this is having.
Yeah. And already, I mean, just since the last time we had a podcast just with us two, we've had so much change going on. I mean, Tyler Hildebrand is moving over to Nebraska, moving back to Nebraska rather. And then we had AVP New York is postponed, which my guess would be it's more than likely to be canceled, but for now it's just postponed. So we have those two big changes. You work with Tyler a lot more than like I would. So like, has he talked to you guys about the transition? Because I talked to him a little bit. I did a story on him and the transition he's making. He said that he's going to try to work in like remote capacity, but obviously from like August through early January, he's going to be full-time with Nebraska. It's like, has he spoken with you guys, the USA athletes, about like how that transition is going to happen?
Yeah, he called us all individually or as a team, I guess. He called all the teams and spoke with everyone about it. And he basically said the exact same thing. it's just a tricky situation because Nebraska was being polite to him by saying, okay, we're going to respect what you've built with USA Volleyball, and we're going to let you see that through the Olympics. But now he has to kind of return the favor and be like, okay, now the Olympics is a year later, but I've promised you my time in 2021. So they're just saying, okay, yeah, you're going to be with us, work with us, but when you have the time, and most likely the timing will work out well, will allow you to go and be and help out with the beach national team. I think a reason why USA Volleyball, at least, and the athletes are really benefiting from him at least being there in part-time capacity is because the USOC and the national governing bodies, so USA Volleyball, aren't hiring anyone on board during this time. If anything, they're making layoffs and cutbacks. So they can't replace Hildebrand. Like everything he's built, the program, the training that we do, it's in someone else's hands. It's in Sean Scott's hands, or it's on pause, or I don't know who's it's in, but it's not happening without Tyler, and no one's going to replace him during this next year. So we're just kind of take what we can get kind of thing. And he only worked he did a lot, which was a little bit for everybody, which ended up being a lot for him. But I don't think it's going to impact any individual team. Some teams more than others because they worked with him in different capacities. But like for us, it's like, oh, we love him as a resource. We love the national team training he provides, the kind of organization and of the national team in general. He just kind of makes it flow better. And he provides really good resources for us to study the game, and he just has good impact on the national team. But it's not gonna impact us directly and change the way that we're going to go about things, and we don't really have to change much because each team has kind of built their own thing. So we have Jose still full-time, and me, Trevor, Jose, we still have the national team facility. We still have USOC stipends coming in, luckily, very luckily.
That's good.
Yeah, the USOC said that they were going to continue that athlete support through this time, so all the Olympians can still train and live, which is huge. Also health insurance. That goes to the top teams who are ranked high enough. But Hildebrand's in a tricky situation. He's going to be really busy, but there won't be probably much change or growth in the next few years. It's just we're just kind of build upon what we've built with him and then figure it out after that.
Yeah, he's a busy man for a reason. He's good at what he does.
He is, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But you just got off a call with the USOC. I didn't know if you want to drop any highlights or just little tidbits that would be interesting.
I mean, basically, they just wanted to be transparent with the athletes. A lot of athletes were scared, I think, and sending questions and what's happening, because there's a lot of athletes who this is their full-time job. They're living at the training facilities. They're not at their own home all year. They're at the training facilities eating their food, and this is their full-time job in life, and their opportunity to go make big money or make a big name for themselves is all in the Olympics, one time every 4 years. So I think those athletes were looking for answers, and so they had a call and just explained where the USOC's money comes from, where they use their expenses and where they get the revenues, how that's going to be impacted during the COVID times. They explained how, when you get the Winter Olympics, the USOC makes money. And then when it's an off year, so the first year of the quad, they lose a little bit of money. Second year is Winter Olympics, so they'll make a little money. Third year, they'll lose a little money. Fourth year is Summer Olympics, and they'll make some money. Now, you don't get the fourth year. Everything's been pushed back, and obviously from a business standpoint, they have to make a bunch of changes to protect the whole business as a whole, because losing a 4-year big revenue chunk is a very big deal. And they're just explaining where the cuts are going to be to lower their expenses this next year, and told athletes that they're still going to support them with the stipends and insurance. That's not where the cuts are going to come, but it might down the road. So during 2021 quad, 21 through 24, the financial impact that's happening right now might get carried over to that time, but they're not going to cut it to the athletes right now who are just left with nothing. So yeah, they were just explaining how they were going about things financially and what their support levels were, and just trying to be transparent about it. And I thought it was a pretty interesting call.
Yeah, I think one of the bright spots of this whole mess is that I think like the 2021 Olympics could maybe be the most profitable like in Olympic history, and I'll use the NFL draft as an example. So the NFL draft was like a Zoom remote draft, and it was by far the most viewed NFL draft in history. And like
no one else had anything to do.
Well, that and like people just crave sports.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And so like people miss sports. And I think like when you have like the Olympics pushed back a year, I think people are gonna like lose their minds for the Olympics. And then we'll have the 2022 Olympics following it up right up for the winter, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have back-to-back Olympics, 1 year off, and then an Olympics again. I think that like in general, like obviously this year sucks, but I think the bounce back could probably be far higher than the Valley would be. I mean, if you just look at like how badly people are missing sports and like the various things that people are doing just to get sports content. Like ESPN's doing a Madden contest that's getting viewed. And like you look at the 30 for 30 on MJ, The Last Dance, like by far the most viewed 30 for 30 right now. Obviously it's like unbelievable journalism, and it's like on Michael Jordan, so there's no way it was going to fail. But I think people just miss sports, and I think like having it taken away is going to have that bounce back be that much higher for the sports that can survive.
Yeah, for sure. They just have to figure out how to get to that time, you know?
Right?
And the scary part is that there's no guarantee 2021 happens, and if it doesn't happen in 2021, I'm pretty sure it's not happening. Like we're just going to Paris, and for that to happen would basically destroy all the Olympic committees in the world, and they would have to rely on like endowments or something like to stay even alive at all. So that's kind of a scary thing, and I think they, in the back of their minds, they have to prepare for that because you never know.
Yeah, I mean that would be brutal. And we were just talking about the NCAA and how they were talking about cutting sports, and it seemed kind of random, but when you think about it, like when the possibility of a football season not happening is up in the air, like that's where all the funding comes from, is the football season. And like we were just talking about like LSU's financials, where their football team in the 2017-18 season brought in close to $87 million of revenue. And it was one of 3 sports that earned a profit, whereas the other maybe 23 sports at LSU were all losses. So without the football team to cover those losses, that you just can't have sports. So if there's no football season, then that's why the NCAA was looking into maybe we need to cut sports. So if we can just survive this first year and not cut things, then I feel like the bounce back, like we should be able to be all right.
That's what the big deal was that NCAA was talking about whether or not they should cut the small sports.
Yeah, I'm like, and I got off the phone with John Mayer a couple minutes ago, and he was like, well, beach volleyball is probably going to be the first one to get cut. But to me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because like beach volleyball is like an $800,000 budget, which for college athletics is like tiny. It's barely anything. When you look at like, women's basketball is like $4 or $5 million of losses.
They don't pay for the lights.
So now,
just like us in men's volleyball.
Yeah, I was saying men's volleyball, it might be kind of a more legitimate cut, but like beach volleyball is just like so teeny and tiny on the expense report.
Actually, LMU goes down to the actual beach to practice. They don't even have a facility.
Yeah. So like, their budget's even smaller and the budget that we were looking at was LSU's, and LSU's beach team, I think, lost $850,000 or something in 2017 and 2018. And that's a team that actually has a source of revenue, and it has like, it built its own facilities, and it has, I think it's fully funded with 6 scholarships. So like LSU is like as expensive as it gets.
They probably made back a little bit of that, like 100 or something.
They made in 2017 and 18, they made 45,000 in revenue roughly. And just the 17-18 school year. So the 2018 season.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So beach volleyball is not going to produce revenue, but it's not going to lose a ton of money.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think beach volleyball should be the first on the cutting board. Men's volleyball, maybe.
Yeah.
But it was good to see that no sports did get cut.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think that when you cut a sport, to bring it back is so hard out of extinction. Whereas if you can just furlough it for a year.
Especially a small men's sport. Like they're already hanging on with the whole Title IX thing. You know, it's like first things to go is going to be like men's volleyball, men's soccer, all those smaller sports.
Yeah, like men's tennis, like the small sports with big rosters pretty much, or they'll be the first to go.
Yeah.
So good to see the positive news that no sports were cut, and the positive news that, I mean, New York wasn't canceled yet. It was just postponed, and that the AVP hasn't announced any other cancellations, which has been relieving.
It'd be nice if, New York does not sound like it's going to happen.
I feel like it would be pretty tough at this point for New York to happen.
Hey, let's just put all the money in Manhattan.
All the money in Manhattan. Just keep it. Or at this point, Huntington's Beach is open. It's good.
Hey, let's do the California Gold Series.
Yeah.
You just drive on down. Good to go.
Santa Cruz is open. The AVP used to go up to Santa Cruz. We could just go start north, go south, all the way down to Hawaii.
First of all, I think it'd be amazing to have a California series, like a California Cup, where you have like 4 or 5 events, and then there's a winner of that cup every year. You don't win the whole tour, but whoever does the best in those 5. Yeah.
That would be cool. I mean, we kind of already do have like a California Cup with Huntington, Hermosa, and Manhattan.
Right. But they just need to give us a cup.
Yeah.
That's basically my point. It makes us feel special. It just gives us maybe one of those big checks, even if it just says like $500.
Yeah. Just like the Happy Gilmore check. Well, we do have some fan questions. So I appreciate all the fans writing in. Our first one is from 405 Lax, who says, who are some younger players to watch out for, quote unquote, not obvious ones like Eric Baranek, etc. Where do you think the season will begin? Where have you been training? And you have wink, wink. Younger players to watch out for, I think, obviously on the men's side goes to Miles Partain. He's like 17 years old, maybe, already has a 5th. I think would probably be automatic into any main draw. I also love John Schwinkle and Timmy Brewster, my boys. I love those kids. I think John Schwinkle this offseason probably improved more than anyone that I saw, which was a fair amount of people at the qualifier level, which is like the kind of type that would make those big leaps and bounds. So I would, if I was a betting man, which I am, I would put it on John Schwinkle and Miles Partain.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Timmy Brewster, he's been getting some reps of that. That kid loves practicing. He's all the time with Loyola. I feel like Loyola has been coaching him since he was like a little kid. Now he's.
I think Tim's been with Jose since he was like 13.
Wow.
Yeah, because when I played Israel with Tim, we had a couple practices with Jose, and they just like have this like almost like crazy uncle, nephew kind of vibe. And I was like, how long have you been working together? He's like, Jose is like 10 years.
Oh shit.
I mean, maybe not that long, but it's been a while. Like they work together a lot. So Tim's getting the finest training. There's no doubt about that.
I'd say, if any of these college players come out, I heard there's a few decent players, guys that are playing indoors, that have some potential. I don't really know names, but I know a lot of them come down, and there's always a group that goes out to the beach and just plays for fun. I mean, not to mention the guys that are going up to the national team and have the potential to come down. I think Benesch Andy Benesch.
Yes.
He has the skill sets, and I think he's put in the 2 years now on the beach. So that experience is coming, and I would expect him to make a nice little push as a really good blocker, potential rookie of the year. I don't understand rookie of the year because you can play on tour for like a year or two, and then you get it apparently.
I don't get how it works.
I'm pretty sure Ricardo was the rookie of the year.
At like 44.
Yeah, I might be rookie of the year next year if I perform well.
Try gets breakthrough athlete of the year because he finally plays multiple AVPs.
2-time rookie of the year.
For the I love your Andy Benesch pick. That I love Andy Benesch, and two, like, you can't teach 6'9".
Yeah.
And he was like a phenomenal middle blocker at USC. He hand sets, passes really well, and sides out like pretty much every time.
I saw him play in high school. I was like randomly paid to go like help the team out for a few weeks, or gave me $20 or something back in college. And he was on the high school team in PV, and I was like, damn, this middle blocker is like diving and setting off balls, and like he's one of the best skill players out here. And for me, that's like, if there's a big guy, like a middle blocker, and he's good at blocking, but he has the skills, that's like potential for a really nasty player eventually, if they put in the time and gain the experience, especially on the beach. And it seems like he's committed now, and he's got 2 years under his belt, so might be a sneaky little pickup for someone.
Yeah, well, him and Baranek committed to the season that we hopefully will have. So it's a good team. I would compare Andy Benesch to like a Joel Embiid, right? He comes in, he's like this huge, goofy dude, and like
without the jawing.
He has without the jawing, and he has like all this potential that like it could happen. Like he could just drop 50 and grab 20 rebounds in a night.
I feel like he's the kind of guy where like him and Baranek will be good, really good. I think Baranek's proven that he can hang at main draw level for sure. Yeah. Ideally, if I were to want that player to develop more, I'd say get him a veteran. That's kind of a lesson that I got kind of taught early on. Like when I just wanted to come out and play with Riley McKibben, me and him we were college roommates, and we're just like, no, we're just gonna play together. I want to play with my friend. But Stein Metzger was telling us, like, no, you guys need to get veterans, get people that understand the game and can teach you the small ins and outs and whatnot. So I think that would be huge. Don't get someone who's necessarily learning the game with you. Get someone who's can teach you the game. Yeah. But it's not always an option, and Baranek's a great option for him. Yeah, and they hired a coach. They were working like full time with LT. He's kind of a new coach who moved from Florida, so maybe that was their way of getting that kind of veteran presence with a coach to teach them. But I would agree with you in that, like, having someone next to you during a match to be like, hey, let's try this, because coaches can't really talk to you during a match, and I feel like that's 99% of why having a veteran with you is so valuable. But I think if we do have a season that Baranek and Andy, like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if like they made a couple Sundays, just because, like, I mean, Eric's already made one, and Andy took a 7th in Hermosa with Adam Roberts, beat Billy Allen Stafford, so yeah, he's up there. A couple Sundays would be impressive, that's for sure, especially if no one's on the World Tour this year. True. It would be epic. True. I mean, not for my bank account, but yeah. Then on the women's side, I think the best college player I watched this year was Savvy Simo at UCLA, and she, for 4 years, she's been dual sport. So she went indoor beach, back and forth, and then she's coming back for a 5th year at UCLA because they get this year back because they didn't really get to play. Oh, wow. She's coming back for one more season, and she would be the, like, kind of who I'd expect to be kind of like next year's Zana or next year's Sponsel or Sarah Hughes, who just kind of like breaks out of nowhere. I don't know if Sarah Hughes came out of nowhere, 4-time champ. True. Kind of came out as a youngster making big moves. Yeah. For sure. Better way to put it. What an epic name, too. Yeah, Savvy Simo. Savvy Simo. Yeah.
And then there's these two high schoolers, Delaney Maple and Megan Kraft, who they both committed to USC with Dane, who we had on. They took a 5th in Hermosa, made a couple other main draws, and then they won their high school national championship. So they're like, I guess they would be kind of the Sarah Hugheses of this high school generation, like
Right.
already making main draws, already making quarterfinals, and they're not even in college yet.
Yeah, it's
kind of insane.
It's crazy that that's even a thing. Like a decade ago, still not a thing on the men's side, really. Like you can't win a high school national championship for men, right? For boys.
I don't think you can.
But even for girls, like I don't think that was a thing when Sarah Hughes was in high school.
Yeah.
Was it?
I don't think so. I know because there's just not that many beach high schools with beach volleyball in it.
Yeah.
I know in Florida they have it, but most states just don't have it. So it's kind of hard.
But it's interesting to see how the sport's being developed, that like there's a different foundation being built at each level,
Yeah.
Kind of branching off of the college.
Yeah. And then do you have any more youngsters on the women's side that you want to add, Try, before we move on?
I'm the worst. I can't come up with any names right now.
I have an unfair advantage that I get to watch the college game all the time.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I could name probably like 50 who I think are like names to watch, but I wanted to limit it to the ones like Morgan Martin at Hawaii, Amy Ozzie, like Tori Van Winden at Cal Poly, pretty much anyone who goes to UCLA. So, and Brooke Bauer, I want to give Brooke Bauer and Deanna Kraft a big shout out there at Pepperdine. They're both phenomenal. And then Florida State has a couple girls, Molly McBain and Elena Chacon, that I think could do really well. And then LSU's Claire Coppola and Kristen Nuss. Just kind of firing off a couple names for everyone to keep an eye on. Well, moving on then, where have you been training? And we know you have, wink, wink. Try, are you giving up your secret locations for training?
No, but I have. No, I'm super lucky. I know a family that's been super supportive of me, and they have a beach court at their house. So I go up there once a week just to basically just working out in the sand, getting some cardio in, and getting my legs used to the sand, or staying used to the sand. My trainer basically told me the only thing he can't really simulate in the gym for me is the sand and the impact that it has on your joints and your ankles and your balance or stabilizers and whatnot is just that sand work. So I'm just doing that movements. I'm having fun with ball work. So I'm just like serving targets just for fun, just to do it. Why not? But that's about it for me.
Yeah.
We're just being patient with it.
Yeah. This is like the first, so I haven't played in like 6 weeks probably. I was playing no jump with John Mesco and Miles Evans and Delaney for the first couple days at the beaches. Were like starting to get shut, or they took the nets down, but we had our own net that we just put up. And then once that got taken down, I haven't played since. And this is like the best I've felt since I moved to California probably. So I've just like totally shut it down. I've just been lifting because we have a bunch of bands here at the apartment. And then I know a secret garage that I train at here and there, lift some weights, and like my legs feel awesome. And like, it doesn't hurt to walk up the stairs. It doesn't hurt to stand up. It's like, this is the break that as an athlete, like I definitely needed. It's been great.
Yeah. I'm feeling good except for I got a kid and my straps have not, like I'm like this all the time.
Yeah.
Holding her. I'm trying to like get everything back, but it's not feeling great. It's basically like I've been blocking for a full tournament.
You got the dad soreness. Yeah. But aside from that, me and Delaney, we pepper like every day, and that's pretty much all we do for ball work. We just pepper for like 45 minutes before dinner. So it's like
a old couple.
Yeah, we just put on some Disney Pandora and let it ride.
And we pepper before dinner.
We got some more questions here from Tim VB17. Appreciate you sending in. Will there be a match with Trevor and Kavika versus Taylor and Micah?
Maybe. Also, me and Micah Ma'a joined the conversation, by the way. So me and Micah Ma'a, Taylor and Micah Christensen.
Okay.
Trevor and Kavika. That's been our we got a little group chat going. I think that was public. I think that's what he's referring to.
Okay.
We were talking about it. If we can all get home at the same time, well, I guess we could do it here too. But ideally, we all go to Hawaii, go out to the secret North Shore training grounds, and battle it out. That would be epic.
It'd be fun, like once like the quarantine orders get lifted.
Or we do a KOB.
That would be a good one. The Outrigger KOB.
That would be sick.
Milkshakes on the line, like the old days.
Yeah. Extra chunky.
Just the way you like it.
That's right.
What are you working on strength-wise at the moment?
Is that one of the fan questions?
Yep.
Oh. Strength-wise, it's been more body weight than anything. I'm not opposed to doing heavier weight right now. It's not a bad time to do that, put some muscle mass on. But I've just been doing more body weight plyometric isolated lifts, a lot of bands and stuff, which is what I always do. I work with my trainer via video chat once a week, and he kicks my butt that way. But then the off days, so I'm lifting Monday, Wednesday, Friday is like more power cardio work, plyometrics. It's all kind of mixed in. Wednesday's on the sand. And then Tuesday, Thursdays is rehab days. So Tuesday I'll do knee rehab, which is, it's still a workout. Like it's just getting the right muscles to fire that's how I think about it. It's getting the full range in your knee so you can really extend it and like open up that whole joint and capsule, working the whole range, and then making sure that the right muscles in your quads firing and hamstrings and whatever. So really just isolating the small muscles and then doing the same for the shoulders on Thursdays. I video chat with our USA Volleyball trainer, Mike Martinez, on Thursdays. So I'm getting a lot of help, and it's just all about keeping the body healthy, except for my daughter wants to and then reverse it.
For me, strength-wise, I've been getting back to doing these deck of card workouts that I love. So when I was in high school, we used to just get a deck of cards, and so each suit is a different exercise. So for me, like spades is pull-ups, hearts is push-ups, diamonds is bench dips, and then clubs is some sort of ab variation. So like if I get like an ace of spades, it's 14 pull-ups. And then and then for hearts, you multiply it by 2. So if you get like a 6 of hearts, it's 12 push-ups. And then for bench dips and abs, you multiply it by 3. And so that's the amount of reps. So it takes like 45 minutes to get through, and you do like 200 push-ups, like 100 pull-ups, like 400 or close to 400 of bench dips and abs. And that's your upper body day. And then lower body day, you do kind of a similar deck, unless I'm in the weight room. In the weight room, I just do like Bulgarian split squats and one-legged RDLs and two-legged RDLs. But if I have the deck of cards for legs, I'll have one that's like the glute clamshell is one. It's like just all band work that I got from this trainer at Evolution Physical Therapy. He's like just fixing my knees during this quarantine. So I just grab a deck of cards and grab a couple bands and have at it.
A lot of like, one thing that I believe as an athlete is like, I'm not supposed to be an expert. I don't got time to be an expert in physical fitness,
right.
Like training my body to be a professional athlete. But I learn a lot, so I gain a really good foundation of knowledge. But at the end of the day, I'm relying on other people to do it for me, and I bring specific people on onto the team who I trust, obviously. But if you don't have that, there's a lot of stuff on like YouTube and stuff. So like if you got knee problems, look up leg workouts, knee rehab workouts. Like rehab is also prehab, like you're preventing knee soreness. When I say rehab, I don't have anything going right now. It's just, I should say prehab probably. Preventative rehabilitation.
Yeah.
But look it up. You know, there's plenty of videos, like you'll come across like the clams, like I'm doing plenty of those, and I'm just trying to train my body so that it's ready and as healthy as possible to get back on the sand and start training again. But everyone's got their specific thing, so look it up. There's plenty of videos out there.
And especially now, that's all people are doing is putting out videos of what they're working out. So
yeah, exactly.
Like right before we came on, I did a hip mobility series that Irene Polak put up. Yeah. And so I was like, might as well try it, because like hip mobility has been something I've been working on.
Follow Christian Hartford, who we had on the show.
Yeah, our guy.
He's been putting a bunch of stuff up on Instagram. Our athletic trainer sent me some yoga videos from, I forget what company it was. I know the Peloton app has a lot of, I think they're doing 90-day free trial.
Nice.
They have a lot of really good videos, just like general yoga kind of stuff will open the body up, and that's like, feels like a good warm up for me, where I'm just opening the body. I got all the ranges working. Now I want to lift through those ranges that I've created.
Yeah. So there you have it. That's what we're doing for mobility and strength and prehab/rehab.
Huh? Yours sounds fun, Travis.
Yeah.
That's like the fun way I used to lift, you know. Now I'm more like, I just listen to the guy that I hire.
Yeah, basically what I did was I talked to Christian a lot actually about like what exercises would be good for this, and then I just took those exercises and put them into the deck of cards. That's what I did. So it keeps you guessing, which I like.
You want a bigger chest? Do more push-ups.
Exactly.
It's a fun time, you know.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I ask, even though we're just performance training, like basically 100% of the time, trying to get my body to perform in a certain way. I ask him to throw in, hey, it's off season. Give me a little chest. I have a little bit short. Like, I walk in and he's like a bodybuilder. He's got a new muscle popping out every day. I'm like, one of those.
Yeah. What's gonna make me look good for Gab?
Yeah. Oh, mama.
Yeah.
Got to give her some love.
The next fan question: have you made any dietary changes to stay in shape while we're off the beach?
Well, for me, I'm more strict when I'm in season. So right now I'm kind of being a little more lax. And so no, I can't say that I'm making any changes to help myself.
Yeah.
I've even I'm usually limiting dairy, gluten, all that stuff, refined sugars, and I'm having a little bit here and there now. I got to live a little. I think that's important. But generally just eating healthy and noticing how I feel. I'm not going to eat something if it makes me feel like crap, but I can't say that I've changed to something different that's during this time.
Dude, it's funny you say that, because I have adopted a similar diet that you have, where it's like limited gluten, limited dairy. And then when it's off season, it's not like I go like eat a gallon of ice cream and, you know, drink like 2 glasses of milk before bed, but I'll like be a little I'll be a little bit more lax with it. And so Delaney's mom, we go over there like every Sunday. And so she's like really sensitive about like what I do and do not like to eat during season. And so I like ate an enchilada the other night, and she was like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? Like, you're eating. I was like, I don't have to perform for anything right now. So like, I'm kind of okay with it.
That's how I was with my mother-in-law's too. Like, I'm sorry, I made this and that. I'm like, no, you're good. I'm not allowed to be picky in your house unless I'm like going out to perform tomorrow. Then you know, gotta make some Skrilla for the family. But this is your house. You cook dinner. Don't worry about me.
Yeah. And so I pretty much said the same thing. I was like, 1, enchiladas are delicious. 2, there's like no repercussions for me eating enchiladas right now. So I'm scarfing.
Exactly.
And Delaney's been learning how to cook too. Not that she didn't know before, but she's like starting to really learn how to do it. So she's just been cooking up everything and anything.
Oh, you're stoked. You're stoked.
Our next fan question. Let's see. We have a handful more. We've kept people for. We always these always run pretty long.
We're usually like, all right, 30 minutes in and out.
Yeah, and then it goes. This is a fun one here. Will there be a new BVB book coming up? Parentheses, got my copy signed by Try in Hamburg. So there may or may not be a new beach volleyball book coming out sometime soon, hopefully in the next couple months. But you'll have to stay tuned and keep your reading eyes ready, because there might be. Just might be. So we could have some exciting news for you coming up, but that'll be for a podcast episode in a later date.
We'll give, if we do that, we'll give that book, if it exists, an entire episode.
Yeah. If it exists. We already answered kind of the next couple. This one's from Bombs Away. Should the AVP start a Dino division for players post 50 years old who still want to compete 3 to 4 times per year? Golf has the Masters, has its own like Masters like division. The AVP has the Dino.
Let's take care of the main tour first.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. It's a good idea, but man, it would really hurt my ego if we had all the old school guys come out and they still get more fans than us. Come on, Hav and Daughter out there just like rambling and one hand scooping because they can't move anymore, and then we have to watch them get all the fans attention.
Yeah, I think what 1440 did not a couple months ago was kind of fun, where they had like the 4-on-4, where they had like 2 of the legends on one side mixed with 2 younger players, and I thought that was a cool format. Which is like a fun way to get the older guys involved. But I don't know, like older guys can play CBVAs, they and then tournaments in Florida and stuff.
And you don't need a tour. Like they used to put on a few of those exhibitions before the finals in Manhattan. I got to play in one of those before with Hav and all them. So they're fun, like little exhibitions. I think that's great. And they're entertaining. They definitely need, if you're going to do it online, you need microphones down there. Like you need to hear the dialogue. That's like the best part.
Yeah. And like the difference between, golf and the AVP, like golf, you can play golf till you're like 92 at a really good level.
Right. Yeah.
You're not going to be able to, like Jose can't jump 42 and bounce balls in Manhattan Beach anymore. Like the product would not be very good. So
it's more like entertaining.
Yeah.
And it's more of the experience of the people being there and just sitting there and drinking in Hawaii.
Yeah. So I think for that one, if you want to like mic up Hovland and Obradovich and St. John and those guys, the mouthier ones, like that would be your entertainment. But I don't think watching them playing would be that great.
Yeah.
We'll do 2 more. Rate your top 5 male defenders and blockers internationally.
Let's go collective top 5.
Okay, so collective top 5. I mean, so Anders is clear cut number 1, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably put Oleg Stoyanovsky as the second best player in the world.
Yeah. I mean, his game's well rounded, like service line to blocking. Yeah, Oleg maybe 2. Who'd you put 3? Like there's Phil and Evandro. Evandro, I give him up there because his serve as a player, and his serve is so deadly that it makes up for the fact that he's not that great of a blocker, although he has gotten better over this last year. I put Phil up there still. watched that video of Phil posted yesterday of him blocking one of the Austrian guys' shots. I was like, dude, you're not supposed to be able to do that at 40. That was like crazy Phil at 30. Like, wow, you're a freak athlete. But he's like full armpit. The guy shot it like over the antenna and Phil threw it straight down.
Yeah. It's so hard to put. So the two toughest parts I have about putting Phil and Evandro on the list is that, like, you don't know what Evandro you're going to get on any given day. Like, he could go a set where he misses 7 serves in a row, and then he could go a set where he gets 12 aces. Yeah. And then Phil, like, and I love Phil Dahlhauser. Like, he is freaking great, but you also don't know, like, what Phil you're going to get. Because, like, Phil's been around for so long and he's won so many events that, you know, he really only gets jacked up for a handful. Right. And you know when it's happening, and when you get that Phil, like, I think he's the number 1 player in the world. But how often do you get it?
Yeah, but even bad Phil,
he's not. I mean, yeah, like, bad Phil is an oxymoron. Like, it doesn't exist. Right. So I think that Phil belongs on this list for sure. I don't know if number 3. That's a great question. Like,
Jake pound for pound is one of the best blockers, and he's not as physical as any of these guys. But in terms of hand placement and abilities, he can't really bring heat from the service line, but he's got good accuracy. And
well, are we doing best top 5 blockers right now, or are we doing? Okay, so then top 5 blockers, and I think Phil definitely number 3. Sorry, I thought we were like doing total overall.
No, let's go blockers.
All right, so Phil definitely number 3 for me.
Yeah.
Where does a guy like Julius Tolly fall in that mix?
It would be the 5 range.
You know, he made World Tour finals.
I take Evandro.
Champs finals.
I think he's a better blocker, probably, just like fundamentally. But I'll take Evandro over him all day.
Yeah, I think I would go Alisson at 4.
Oh yeah, for sure. Alisson. You can't take him out. He has the intangible, just like the head, where he's just a beast and he's a winner.
Yeah. So I'd go
over Evandro.
I would go Alisson over Evandro, just because, like, you look at Alisson's success, just year after year after year after year, like,
better than Phil.
Yeah, I mean, and like Phil, he's one of the first to win. He's like, Alisson wins the big ones. You know, you measure quarterbacks on Super Bowl wins. Alisson wins the big events. Yep. So I go Alisson at 4, Evandro 5.
Who are we missing?
Let me see. Let me bring up a quick list here on the BVB, because I feel like there's got to be someone that we're missing.
We're missing Nikolai.
Oh, I would go Nikolai over Evandro.
Yeah, he's a better pound for pound. But when Evandro serves on, he's number 1 probably.
Because, like, and Nikolai kind of has the same problem where, like, when his serve is off, like, he's off too.
Yeah, it's true.
I brought up the world champs. Like, where do you have a guy? I mean, Enrico Rossi, I don't think should make the list, but, like, he is a really good blocker. You have Michael Brill.
Yeah, he's up there for sure. Mewson.
Robbie Mewson. Yeah, I think he's phenomenal.
He's I think Brill's in the 5 to 10 range. Robbie's in the 5 to 10 range. Jake's probably in there.
I think in the 5 to 10. You're in the 5 to 10, I would say. Although, if you can classify yourself as a blocker, you're kind of in you're a hybrid.
Yeah, but man, what am I on that list? I probably jumped way out there.
Your split blocking list, you're like top 3.
There we go. Hey, Latvia's been falling off though.
Yeah. Well, they had a good little end to the year. But yeah. So we had Anders, Oleg, Phil, Alisson, Evandro or Nikolai? Nikolai. Okay. And then the 5 to 10ers are Evandro, Robbie Mewson,
Brill,
Michael Brill,
Jake.
Triborn. And then top 5 defenders. It's so hard for me to put Krasilnikov and Christian Sorum on there because like it's almost hard to like evaluate how good of a defender they are when they're playing behind the 2 best blockers, you know?
I think they're top 5, but maybe not clear cut number 1, because what would Taylor do with Anders? What would Fifi Fijalek do with Anders? Or, and Krasilnikov from Russia was good with Semenov, but they didn't win quite as much because Semenov wasn't quite as good.
Right.
And I feel like Krasilnikov's still playing at a similar level. Like when I played him this year, I hadn't gotten to play him since he was with Semenov. Actually, I played him in Vegas too, but the last few times I played him, it's felt the same to me as it was before. Like I felt like I had a great beat on him, and he wasn't like this dominant player necessarily. He's always been really good and solid, but when you put really good and solid with great blocker, you get a world championship.
Yeah. I think in terms of just like pure defender, I would put – there are 2 guys that I think I would put on that list. It would be Taylor, just pure outright a defender.
Yeah.
And Clemens Wickler, I think, would be up there too, from Germany. I love his game. I think he would be kind of another guy that you could sort of compare yourself to because like similar height there. And if you had a 7'1" blocker up there too.
Right.
But so I would go Taylor, Clemens Wickler, Christian.
I'll put Christian over Clemens.
Okay.
He's earned that for me.
Okay. And then I don't know, like Fijalek, Lupo, Alvaro, Lucena, Adrian,
Trevor.
If Brannigan's listening, she just spit out her wine listening to that.
Adrian, I can't put him on the top 5, but like, oh man, his skill sets, what he does have is unbelievable.
Yeah. So where would you? I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's like 1 through 6 are like almost interchangeable.
I think Fifi is unreal, but he's not as consistent at the highest level. I just think his reads and his mobility and touch are really good. I'll put Taylor up there for sure. Taylor, who'd you put second? Christian?
I put Wickler, but I think I'd change that to Christian.
I'll go Taylor, Christian, Wickler, and Krasilnikov, and then we have
Lupo, Fifi, Alvaro.
I might put Fifi in there.
We've got Nick, Lucena.
Lucena's. Those are all the 5 through 10s.
Yeah, and then we have like Leshukov from Russia. I mean, he's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
I don't think like top 5er, but he's up there.
Yeah.
So if you had to pick one guy to play with, this is how we'll decide our 5 seed. One guy to play with: Lupo, Fijalek, Adrian.
Well, I'll play with Adrian. Just I would love to see what we could do, like running. I like setting those quick balls, like over the shoulder. Like, so wherever he runs, I'd love to go because I get to do that with Hayden, and then Trevor does not move.
Yeah,
around like that. So I would choose Adrian just because it's fun and his energy is great.
Yeah.
But if I mean, you can't really. I just think Fijalek maybe would be the most consistent. Fijalek and Lupo right there.
Yeah, I think I would pick Lupo. I just like I think his energy out there, his vibe is so good. And he likes those quick little balls too. He runs that little 2 ball out of the middle all the time. It's not as fun as Adrian's style, but he comes to you and just flick it up there and he just chizzes it around.
I would love that.
And then, all right, so those are our top 5. That was a fun one. Well done. And then our last question is from Stephen A. Sinjin. What current AVP blockers or defenders do you think could make a switch to split blocking with another partner and have great success?
I was distracted by that name, Stephen A. St. John.
Stephen A. St. John. That's really good.
Stephen A. Smith and throw St. John on it to make it a beach volleyball name.
That's pretty good.
What was the question?
What AVP players could split block and have success?
On the World Tour or just split block period?
Just split blocker.
Okay.
Avery Drost, I think, would be up there. He's made a semifinal as a blocker. He's made a semi as a defender. I think, honestly, like Casey Patterson.
Yeah, because he's got the length. Yeah, Patterson could do it.
He won his first event as a blocker with Ty in Coney Island, and he's went to the Olympics as a defender, which is not a bad resume.
Yeah.
Troy, I think Troy Field probably has the highest ceiling of the bunch because he's so fast and athletic.
Yeah. For sure, Troy. Obviously, Baumgren.
Yeah. Maybe Reed.
Yeah, Reed.
Taylor
could do it. He can jump high enough. He just would be a small block, but Taylor was a good indoor blocker too, I think. But like realistically, yeah, like the bigger guys at the net.
Yeah.
Longer and Troy, me and Trev, obviously.
Think of all the 6'5" guys on the AVP.
Yeah.
Pretty much it.
Yeah. With the tweeners.
And then for women, I feel like half of them are split blockers or at this point.
Yeah, really.
Or could be. So I would say my number one seed for the split blockers of the AVP would be Troy. I think he could be a really good split blocker.
I like it.
So, but that is the last of our fan questions. And as always, we've run this one pretty long. We always come in like, what are we going to talk about? And an hour and a half later, we're like, that worked out.
Yeah.
Would you have anything else to add here, Tri?
I think we covered it all, everyone.
I think we did. Well, you can get back to your sponsor row back there and
What do you mean?
What sponsors?
The light's getting a little bright for my Maui.
All right, everyone. This has been SANDCAST with Travis Mewhirter and Ricky Bobby. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Shoots.